Here is the story time of why me and my father haven't spoken in 10 years. Me and him have always had a complicated relationship. He left when I was 5. And contact was really on and off. Like, we might see him once every couple of months. And then when I was 10, both my sisters, I have an older one and a younger one, both of them decided they didn't want to see him anymore. I carried on seeing him because by this point, mine and my mum's relationship was not good. And you guys all know I ended up in foster care. So I think I was trying to get from my dad what I wasn't getting from my mum. So I carried on talking to him. And again, it was really on and off. At one point, he stopped talking to me. When I was 14, he stopped talking to me for 2 years. I will go into another day why. Horrific. But when I found out I was pregnant at 16, I got back into his life. I carried on talking to him. Both my sisters still weren't talking to him, but I thought I'd give him a chance. He was just not a good dad. He wasn't consistent. He was very selfish. But I really wanted a relationship with him. The 2 things you need to know about my dad is he doesn't work. He did have a job, but he got fired when I was 4 because he used to drink on the job. And he just drank on the job. He worked in a care home, like he was working with elderly people, and he used to get drunk. So he ended up getting fired. The second thing you need to know is he's an alcoholic. And he's one of those alcoholics that will drink for like 3 months straight, and then he'll stop for a month, and then he'll carry on for a year, and then he'll stop for 6 months. Very on and off. I didn't really know my grandparents that well, like his parents. I met them maybe a handful of times when I was like under the age of 10. And my grandma died, and then a couple years later my granddad died. And my granddad, he wasn't rich, but he was doing okay. He had a banker's pension. I think he had a war pension. He had loads of stocks and shares and things like that. So when he died, he left my dad and his brothers like a decent inheritance. This was 10 years ago, so we don't know how much my dad was given, but we do know he was given 25 grand less than his brothers. The reason being is, so my dad had an affair on my mum and then left and is still with the woman he left my mum for. And because my dad wasn't working and needed money for alcohol, my granddad, we didn't find this out until after my granddad died, my granddad was sending my stepmom money so that she could take care of my dad because he had no income. Like, she needed money because she was basically raising my dad. When I found this out, I got upset because I understand, like, you want to take care of your son, but I couldn't help but think about my mum, how she had raised 3 kids alone. Obviously not all the time because I did go into care, but before I went into care, she was raising 3 kids alone. And she worked a full-time job. And genuinely, like, any money she earned went on us kids. Even if it didn't go directly to us, it would go on the rent that kept the roof over our head. So I was a bit upset to find out, like, I get it, like, my granddad wanted to take care of his son, but, like, I don't think he cared about us grandkids. But like I said, I barely knew my granddad. Like, when he died, I'll be honest, I didn't feel anything. Not in a nasty way, I just didn't know him. I didn't go to the funeral, I didn't, you know. Anyway, so we find out, yes, my dad gets like 25 grand taken off. But we can still see him, like, I had him on Facebook. I could still see that he was like going on loads of holidays and he got like his teeth done, like a whole new full set of teeth. Like, I don't know how much any of this cost, but he got money. And for someone who hadn't had a job in like 15 years, he was loving life. One day he rings me. We hadn't spoken in about a month, which was pretty normal. Still hasn't spoken to my sisters in like 10 years. And he rings me, like, asks how I am. And then after a bit of chit chat, he's like, okay, I need to tell you something. I want to give you a gift. So I'm like, oh, okay, I love presents. And he said he wanted to give me £1,000 out of the inheritance that he'd received. He also said he wanted to give my sisters some, which I was really surprised about because obviously him and my sisters were not talking. And don't get me wrong, I was really grateful for the £1,000 because obviously it was £1,000 I didn't have before. But at the same time, I knew I was just going to give it to my mum because I owed my mum money. I got in loads of council tax debt and my mum had helped me get out of it, so I knew this money is just going to go back to her. And so when he asked me, what are you going to spend it on, I didn't even think to lie. So I just said, oh, I'm going to give it to mum because I owe her money. I really wanted to give her the money because I hated the feeling of owing someone something, even if it's your own parent. I hated the feeling. Oh my God, when I told him that I was going to give it to mum, he started being like, why would you give it to her? And the thing is, my parents' breakup, I fully blame my dad for. My dad was the one that had the affair. My dad was the one that barely looked after us kids. Any money he got, he would spend it on alcohol. So when he started bad-mouthing my mum, I got really annoyed because my mum never said a bad word about him. When we were kids, after everything he did to cause the breakup, my mum didn't say shit about him, and she easily could have. We were young, we were easily influenced, we could have easily believed whatever she told us about him, but she never said a bad word about him. She does now, but that's because we're older. So to hear him be like, well, why would you give it to your mum? I'm like, excuse me, did you ever give her child support? I don't know what kind of mood I was in that day. I just didn't care. Like I said, mine and my dad's relationship was so on and off. Because that's what I was thinking. I was thinking you never get... Because in my head, I'm thinking you never gave your child support. You come into money and you're just spending it on yourself. Like, there was one time when we were... How old? I was 8. He won tickets to go to Cuba. He won 4 tickets. And I'm not going to lie, my 8-year-old self was thinking, oh, I hope he takes us. I hope he takes me and my sisters. He took himself, my stepmom, her daughter, and sold the other ticket. All this stuff was going through my head. You know when suddenly you realise all the things you hate about your parent? It was all just going around my head. So I said, I'm going to give my money to mum. If you still want to give it to me, I'm going to give it to my mum. I think you should give her some money. Yeah, he really didn't like that. And the problem was I didn't really pick up on the fact that he was drunk. I didn't pick up on that until he called me a c***. Then I realised, I'm not going to pretend I haven't been called that word before, but not by my own dad. I lost it after that. I lost it. Because I hadn't forgotten the 2 years he stopped talking to me. If I tell you why, I hadn't forgotten that. So once he called me a c***, I straight away was just like, how can you talk to me like that? Like, you do realise out of your 3 kids, I'm the only one that talks to you. I'm the only one and that's how you want to talk to me. My loving father then said, am I supposed to feel special? Am I supposed to feel special that you're the only one that still talks to me? And I'm thinking, yeah, actually you are. When 2 out of your 3 kids don't want to know you, you should be nice to the one that does, I think. I hung up on him after that because that hit my rejection issues so bad. Him saying that, like, am I supposed to feel special? And he started laughing afterwards. I'm 18 years old. Hung up on him. We never spoke again. But what's mad is me and my stepmom still talk every now and then. Every now and then she'll send me a message on Facebook just asking how I am. And I'll reply to her because I know, like, the whole, like, her and my dad had an affair thing, but, like, it was 20 years ago, like, I'm over it. Me and her, like, I don't mind her as a person. And every now and then she'll message me and I'll ask how my dad is. Like, I found out my dad had a hip replacement recently. I didn't even know that. Imagine, I didn't even know that. It kind of made me upset. Like, my dad had a hip replacement and I didn't even know until, like, 6 months later. It's weird. It's weird. She always says, when are you going to come down? When are you going to come down? And part of me, honestly, part of me wants to talk to my dad again. Just simply because sometimes I think to myself, like, what if he died tomorrow? What if he died tomorrow? And, like, there's so much I still want to ask him. There's so much I want to confront him on. There's so much I want to say to him. Not all bad stuff. Like, there's some, you know, good, I don't know. So I do sometimes think to myself, I need to reach out to him. Like, I need to message him because I might regret it. If he suddenly dies tomorrow, I will regret not speaking to him at least one more time. But I've been thinking that way for like 2 years now and I still haven't reached out. And honestly, I don't even think it's that I'm scared to. It's just I actually feel sometimes like I can't be bothered. Like, is it worth it? Because I don't know if I actually want a relationship with him again. I just have a lot of questions I want to ask and know the answer to. But I don't know if I want to talk to him after that. So then I think, is it worth it? Like, do I need the answers that bad? I don't know. Hopefully he doesn't die before I decide.